Hello everybody, welcome back to Pasadena MMA. Today we're going over some UFC Fight Night main events that I think would be good this year, but a bit later in the year, mid this year, or very soon. Obviously we got the best unspoken one on the screen right now, Ilya Opturo versus Dan Hooker. That fight will happen soon and Dan Hooker's going to win, but I've just got a few here today. Let's go over some of these. We all know about. Some of them are almost done, and some of them are just, that would be cool, So let's jump straight into the first one. I have Robert Whittaker versus Anthony Hernandez. I think this fight makes sense. Hernandez is running his big win, huge win streak, and Whittaker's coming off a loss. Hernandez, he definitely deserves a big win, and I think this fight is much better if it's a 5-rounder. Give Hernandez a proper test. This will obviously be the biggest fight of his career, hardest fight of his career, and Rob's not washed. I don't think he's washed. I think he'd give Hernandez a really big test. Whittaker he's got his takedown defense. Obviously Hamzat kind of did his thing, but he's got great takedown defense for the division. He's got his immaculate striking. It's a very fun matchup. I don't know who I'd pick, honestly. I'd probably pick Hernandez just because of the momentum of their careers, but Hernandez needs a big fight. You can't give Hernandez these Brendan Allens in this. Watch how he fights Chris Curtis next, or Roman Kopylov too, but I think he deserves Whittaker. I don't know who else would fight Whittaker, maybe like Bravo or something, but this has got to be the fight. I think this would be a great fight night main event. It's got to be a 5-rounder, as I said, because if it's on a pay-per-view, I wouldn't mind. This would be a cool pay-per-view fight, but I want to see Hernandez and Whittaker go 5 rounds. I want to see who's the better fighter here and who deserves to keep going at the title. There's a real old versus new fight. That's my first one. I got Whittaker versus Hernandez. Moving on, this one is the obvious one I was talking about. I have Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley. Everybody needs this fight. Everybody wants this fight. Everybody in the welterweight division is booked right now. So this fight is the only fight that makes sense. It's the old versus new again. It's a good matchup. Buckley looked very good against Colby Covington. He looked amazing. He's been looking great better every single fight. He's really improving. He's really found his stride in the welterweight division. And Kamaru Usman, he needs a fresh matchup. He can't fight Leon. Shavkat, I wouldn't have minded, but Shavkat's injured and going for the title next, so that can't happen. Jack Della would have been a good fight as well, but obviously he's booked now. So I think it has to be the fight for Usman. It's good to test where Usman's skills are at, if he's completely washed or not. I think a good Usman gives a really good test for Buckley. I think it'd be good for Buckley to get tested in this fight, because Colby, he didn't look terrible, but he just got overwhelmed by the power and the pressure of Buckley, and the fight didn't really end properly. It was a bullshit cut, so, Usman's next best thing. And as I said before, everybody is booked, so this fight is literally the only thing that makes sense. Leon Edwards is booked against Jack Della. Shavkat is injured. Sean Brady is booked against Leon. Simon Edwards against Brady, and Bilal against Jack Della. So only Usman and Buckley left. The only other fight I can think of for Buckley is Ian Gary, which isn't a bad fight. I wouldn't complain. That was originally booked for the Colby fight night, but I just think this makes more sense, and he called Usman out. There's more hype behind it. If they book Buckley and Gary, I think Ian Gary probably wins that fight. So there's Buckley's hype train derailed. I think give Ian Gary a different fight and keep these guys, their trajectory going. So that's Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley. Next up, I got 2 people here versus a contender. Again, in the middleweight division, I have Sean Strickland and Israel Adesanya versus Kyle Barallo. So I'm on the middleweight juice today, obviously. So I got both here because this is just assuming Adesanya doesn't retire and he fights again soon, because Baralho needs a fight soon, right? He's been not out for long, but he's at a point now that he can fight, right? If he waits any longer, there's kind of no point. And if Adesanya wants to return quickly after the knockout, that's his choice, and I think this fight would be perfect. Because he's beaten a lot of guys in middleweight already. A lot of the other guys in the rankings don't deserve a fight at Adesanya yet. And it's a good test for Baralho. And Strickland obviously is here as well, because Strickland needs to fight a contender, right? He's had his shot at the title. He lost it against Dricus twice. and he needs to fight a contender. That's just where he's at. Brawlhalla needs to test, and these are both interesting stylistic matchups. I hate to say it, but I think Brawlhalla probably beats Izzy at this point in his career. He just doesn't have the same reflexes and all that, which sucks. I'm a huge Izzy fan. But Strickland would be a very competitive fight. That's probably the fight I want to see a bit more. I think Strickland would give Brawlhalla a good fight. It's a good test to see where both guys are at in their career. So let's move on now. I got 2 left. This next one is actually my favorite, even though it shouldn't be happening. So I need to stress that this isn't me matchmaking. If I was matchmaking, Sean O'Malley wouldn't be getting the title shot, but this is probably what's going to happen because of O'Malley is getting the title shot. So let's just assume that Sean's getting the shot at Merab again. This is the perfect fight, right? These guys need to get booked, so put them in a 5-rounder against each other. This is I think I'd be really excited for this fight. 2 extremely high-level guys, very high-level strikers. Jan's got good grappling, but obviously Umar would have a huge advantage there. And I think the Merab fight kind of gave off a misconception on Peter Yan, because obviously, I'm not trying to deny that he didn't get mauled, but I think this is a better fight for Peter Yan stylistically. Umar isn't as much of a drowning wrestler as Merab. Obviously, his cardio isn't as good as we saw in the Merab fight. I think it's a better fight for him. It's a really good fight, and I think it's a perfect headliner for like an Abu Dhabi fight night or a Saudi Arabia fight night over a really stacked card. This is probably the most high-level fight I got here today. Or maybe not as high-level as the next one, as you'll see. But this is definitely a fight I want to see 5 rounds of. If this got booked as a 3-rounder, I'd be very mad. So I'd be rooting for Peter Yan. I'm not going to say I pick Umar because I can't betray my guy like that. But yeah, great 5-rounder here, and the winner fights Merab. I got the last one here. Very high level, Cyril Gane versus Jailton Almeida. A little goofy, silly heavyweight main event here, because I got to include it. I can't be unrealistic. UFC loves heavyweight main events, so let's do this one. Are you guys mad at me for putting Almeida in a 5-round fight? Probably, but I had to include something at heavyweight, and unless you want me to put Mick Parkin versus Rosenstrike. Oh, sorry, Rosenstrike gone. That's my bad. But yeah, you know what I mean. I think this fight should happen. Regardless of if it's on a pay-per-view or main event, this fight should happen. Gane doesn't deserve the shot at the title. He's lost twice. 3 times. No, twice at it. Come on. That Volkov fight was one of the worst robberies I've ever seen in my 5 years of watching this sport. That was terrible. So yeah, this should definitely happen if Jones versus Tom happens. If that doesn't happen, give Almeida to Tom. I don't want to see Tom sit out for any longer. Or even give Gane to Tom, just so Tom can kick the shit out of him. Once and for all, Gane would probably decline the fight though. So I think this is a good test for Gane, because he hasn't fought a proper wrestler since John Jones. And obviously we saw how that turned out. Sergey Spivak doesn't count, I'm sorry. So either do Curtis Blades and Gane or Almeida and Gane. And Almeida deserves a top fight again. So I do Cyril Gane versus Jailton Almeida. Good test for the guys, and I'm just going to ignore the fact that I've put it on for 5 rounds. Alright. That's all for me today. Just a short one today. That's all I could think of Fight Night main events. But thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. See you later.